Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Night of the Demons. And as always, is the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start with our tiny shaker with ice. To that, we're going to add 1.5 ounces vodka. Next, peach schnapps. 1 ounce. Blue curacao, 1/2 ounce. Half an ounce. Whatever. And 1/2 ounce pineapple juice. There you go. And then we shake. We're going to strain into our semi-chilled cocktail glass. Ooh, what a pretty blue, boys and girls. There you have it, Night of the Demons. Pretty good. Yeah, grapefruit, peach. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. See ya.
I would never presume to tell you what to do. So I would never suggest that you not have your Halloween party in an abandoned New Orleans mansion. But after watching this week's movie on the Scary Spirits podcast, Night of the Demons, it might be some pretty sage advice. Sure, the vibe is on point, but the demon possession might just put a damper on the mood. I guess if you must, go ahead with your plans. But please, do me a favor. Do your best to refrain from trying to steal gold from the skeleton's mouth. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. The podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay. I'm okay as well, Karen. We are a match. That never happens.
Not lately, that's for sure.
What's wrong, Karen? That's
That's
only
because you're a
okay.
big old Eeyore.
Well, what's wrong with you, Karen, today?
Well, I was just thinking, that fall was coming and I was all excited. And then it was 91 degrees today. So I was not happy.
I feel you, Karen. I feel
They
you.
faked me out. I got all fall and spooky. And I'm like, here it comes. And no. So I'm a little annoyed, Greg. I'm a little annoyed at that.
Oh, sorry, Karen. I can't control the weather.
I
I
know.
can't help with that.
Neither can I.
Yeah, we did
And
have.
then I had to watch this film. So,
I
you
don't
could.
like your tone. Was this film my choice, Karen?
Yes, you could control that, Greg.
I could.
Yeah. I hope your Shannon Elizabeth fix was worth it. What movie did you choose for us?
Film I've chosen is Night of the Demons from 2009, the remake of the film we did a while back.
And why did you choose this film?
Well, Karen, this episode, if you're listening on the day it goes live, it is September 4th. Wow, September, Karen.
That's crazy.
And Shannon Elizabeth's birthday is September 7th. Yeah, so Shannon Elizabeth is 51 years old this coming Saturday, Karen.
Oh, level 51. That's a good one.
I'm not even going to comment, Karen. I also have a cocktail for us, Karen.
Of course you do. What is it? It's a very original title. What is it?
Well, the cocktail I found is called Night of the Demons.
Nice.
So, movies Night of the Demons, cocktails Night of the Demons, kind of goes together there.
How do you make it?
We're going to need 1.5 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce of peach schnapps, 1/2 ounce of blue curacao, and 1/2 ounce pineapple juice. And you can garnish with a cherry, but I did not. I'm going to pour all the ingredients in a shaker with ice, shake, and strain into a chilled martini glass. Easy peasy.
Garnishing with a cherry just didn't seem very demon-like to me.
No. I
Kinda
haven't,
made
even
it
I haven't even tasted it yet. This is my first taste right here. Is yours as blue as mine? Yeah, that blue curacao goes a long way. 1/2 ounce goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
It's almost a quarter of the drink, I guess. But should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own Night of the Demons
Of
cocktail?
course we should.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis for us?
I do.
I wonder how different this synopsis is of the original one we did.
I think it is different. I couldn't remember, though. I was going to ask you. But anyway.
But go on. Tell us all the story.
When friends Angela, Suzanne, Maddie, Lily, Dex, Jason, and Colin attend a wild Halloween party at an abandoned mansion in New Orleans, they accidentally awaken centuries-old demons who must possess 7 people by sunrise in order to be free to wreak havoc upon the earth. In order to stop them, the group must hold out until dawn before the earth goes to hell.
I'll bet that's quite a bit different than the original synopsis. Because, spoiler alert, boys and girls, the films are very different, even though this one is a remake. All right, Karen, tell me everything you really enjoyed about this film, other than Shannon Elizabeth and Bobby Sue Luther and Monica Keena and Diora Baird.
I think the story's kind of cool. Interesting. That was different. Hadn't heard that kind of story before. The music, I liked the music, most of it, that they were playing throughout. I thought the special effects were pretty good. There's some lighting, some camera angles that are neat. There's sequel potential, which I always like. And it's the kind that I like. Not so much in your face, but subtle at the end. The acting's okay. It's pretty even. I mean, nobody outshines anyone else. Nobody's worse than anyone else, and no one's better. So it's a pretty evenly done ensemble cast. I couldn't keep straight whose name was who. I was calling one the second cat and the surgeon, and I had no idea who was who. I think I might have started to get it by the end, but I just kind of gave up on that, knowing I kept calling the one Shannon Elizabeth, then I kind of got her name, and then I started calling her by her name. It's not a big cast. I should have been able to keep the character name straight, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. So that That's not necessarily something I didn't like, but it did frustrate me a little bit because I was like, oh, who's that? What's that girl's name? The boys were a little easier for some reason, but that's pretty much it. Set was okay. I like the old house. What about you? What did you like?
Well, I agree the sets were good. The old house was cool. I mentioned I don't think we ever heard that they were in New Orleans during the film,
Oh, yeah,
did
we
we?
did. Yeah,
Oh, did we? Okay. Because it was filmed in New Orleans, and I do know that, but
they're on Bourbon Street when they start and stuff.
are they?
You can see it.
How did I miss that? I don't know. Whatever.
Have you been to Bourbon Street in New Orleans?
No, I have not, Karen.
Well, I think the story talks about it too when they're talking about the story.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Broussard Family Mansion, New Orleans,
Broussard.
1925.
Yeah, that's true. There are words to read in the beginning. That's true. Acting was good. I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I enjoyed the story. It's different, a little bit different story plot than the original. And I'm going to say this now, but I'm not sure this is a better film than the original, but I like this one better.
Really?
If that makes sense. Yeah, I do. I like this one better. I don't know why. The story's a little different.
Shannon Elizabeth.
No, we don't. I was very disappointed in Shannon Elizabeth's performance, Karen, but we will get to that. Yeah, I'm not going to get into other things that I didn't like because you've already mentioned a couple, I believe. It was fine. Special effects were fine. They were good. Yeah, special effects are probably better than the original, I would say.
Well,
But
yeah.
it's
It's later.
It is later. It's original came out in 1988, so it's like 10 years, 10, 11 years later. So you would think they would have better effects, but
11 years. When did it come out?
am I wrong? No, is it 20 something years?
It's almost 20 years.
Oh
You're
my
doing
God. 21
Gen
years.
X math again.
That's right. I'm doing Gen X math. Sorry, Karen. It's 21 years after
Well,
the
no,
original.
it's 2000 what? 6 or 9? What did you say?
2009.
Yeah,
Came out in 2009.
Yeah,
and
so it's
original came out in 1988.
okay.
So 21 years. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Just like
Sorry for my Gen X math,
it's
boys and girls.
Because Gen X thinks 1970 was 30 years ago, so we're a little confused.
Yeah, the 80s were 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
All right, that's what I thought. Thanks for
We're on the same page.
affirming me. Yes. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for backing me up. That's about it. Edward Furlong was really good in this, but I think he's playing himself basically. So.
Yeah, I would say I did say all the acting was even. I will say he was better than everyone else.
Better.
There's one point where I even made a note that you could see terror on his face. I thought you're right. He was better than everyone else.
Yeah, I noticed a few times as they're walking around and the way he's looking around, things like that. He's a better actor than the rest of them.
Yes, I agree. I should have said that because I made notes about it and I just forgot to say it. But yeah, he is 100%.
Anything you didn't like, Karen? Anything at all?
Well, like I said, the acting's fine. I think the writing's terrible. I just thought it was so stupid. I'm like multiple times when I'm doing it, I'm like, was this written by high school boys? That's what it felt like to me. It was just so. Now we're going to have girls kiss. Now we're going to have things come out of this woman's boob. Now we're going to have, it was just like, who is writing this crap? Not
some of that
lipstick.
goes back to the original.
No, not the lipstick thing.
Yes, it does. Okay.
The lipstick thing does,
yes.
But the vines coming out don't. There were some interesting, I don't know if they meant to be homages to Evil Dead.
Could be.
Or not, but there's definitely some, and it's not that I didn't like that, but it feels unoriginal. But maybe they were just throwing back to it as an honor or something. But I thought, come on, this is the same. I don't know. I didn't really like it.
Okay.
I thought it was okay. It was easy to watch, but I just rolled my eyeballs a lot. And there's some jokes in it that aren't really appropriate for now, but that you can't hold against it because the time is the time. So.
Okay.
But other than that, really have anything. I mean,
other than you didn't like the writing and
well, I just thought it was stupid. I thought they could have done a lot better. That's all. I think the story is there. I think the actors were good enough to carry something that would have been just all around better. Maybe I'm in a mood. Who knows? Maybe it was too hot outside and I was angry, but I liked the other one better.
yeah.
Kind of thought this one was stupid. The writing, not the story, not the acting. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like, of course, we're going to do that now. Of course. You know? Did you not like anything?
It is a small cast, as you said, but the girls all look alike, and
Yeah, that's why you couldn't keep track
and
of
they're
them.
two couple of them are dressed as cats, both of them. I had one girl as okay, she's the good whiskers, and the other girl's the bad whiskers.
I had cat number 1 and cat number 2 because that's how they showed up in the film.
And a guy named Jason O said, "Oh, he's the other dude," because I refer to as I'm reciting it, and I'm like, "The other dude." Oh, he's the other dude. I learned his name was Jason at one point, so
Maybe they just didn't say each other's names early or something. I don't know, but for some reason I just couldn't.
they're all the same. They all look the same. They're
Well,
all
the
big
girls, but even
busted blondes, except for Shannon Elizabeth, who you know, right?
yeah,
They're all models.
that's what I'm saying. Some 19-year-old, 18-year-old kid wrote this movie and got to cast it. Ooh, let's bring in all these blonde, big boobed women and cast them in our film. That's what it felt like to me. There was no, I don't know, finesse, for lack of a better word. Little in your face.
But that's what Halloween has kind of become, you know.
They could have put her in a different outfit so we could tell them apart.
True. Yeah, she could have been a nurse,
Right. That would have come in
or
handy.
a schoolgirl, you know,
Right.
wearing her little Catholic girl outfit, you know, that would have been fine.
There's probably a sexy ketchup bottle she could have been. I mean,
It probably is,
you know, like
because that's what it is now. That's the way it is. We're going to disagree on this one, I think, at the end, because I like this one better and you don't. I thought the plot was fine. I kind of like the original that's in the funeral home kind of thing, but the New Orleans mansion doesn't bother me.
no, that's a nice that's the story. The story's good.
It is. Story is good. And this one we get backstory. You know, we didn't get any really backstory.
No,
than
and
I
that's helpful
remember
to
in the
kind
original.
of try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not even sure this. I don't know. They could have called this could have been a totally original movie. I don't even
Yeah, I don't know
they
why
called it Night of the Demons, a remake, because
it's not.
it's different. It's different enough that it could be its own thing.
Yeah, the only thing's the same is they have to stay alive in the house until dawn. But there are lots of movies like that. We would have said, "Oh, this is a little similar to Night of the Demons," but
Yeah, I'm
not.
sure by 1988, Night of the Demons, because it's been around for what'd you say, Karen? 20 something years? It's crazy. Was kind of reaching cult status at that point. And someone said, hey, let's remake it and make a fast
make it
buck.
totally different. I mean, there's a couple of things that throw back, but there's a couple of things that throw right back to Evil Dead. So I don't know. You're right. I think if they'd called it a different movie, it would have been a little better, but I'm just not. I'll let you pick the number of cocktails at the end because you're not going to like what I picked.
So what I'm hearing is you don't like big busted blondes.
No, that's fine. It was kind of predictable to me in what they were going to have the girls and things do. I think it's like, this is what a guy writes when he thinks this is what girls do. I don't know. Like pillow fights at slumber parties.
There were no pillow fights.
No, but that has that feel to me.
But we do know there are pillow fights.
Of course there are, Greg. I mean, if you're going to write it. I think the effects are good. There's some pretty gruesome effects in it.
There are. The effects are better than the original, but it's 20 years later.
So there are really good things about it. And there is even
I think the acting's better in this too than the original.
Maybe there's a playfulness to it, kind of, that I think in the original, the people didn't really know each other, which I think I kind of liked better. I mean, groups did, but these people all knew each other. And so there's bonds there already, which helps the film, but it's a little more interesting to me to see people who don't know each other try to work together and save the world,
Yeah.
But that's not something I liked or didn't like. It's just different. But there are good things about
Well,
it.
the
And
original
there's a
came out in the 80s when there was like the whole Breakfast Club thing where you gotta have the
right,
jock and the hood and the
right,
whatever,
right.
and putting them all together in some weird predicament. That was the thing in the 80s.
You're right.
Anything else, Karen?
No, I don't think so. I thought Shannon Elizabeth would be the final girl, but it didn't turn out that way.
No.
Just when it started, because she's the biggest star.
We don't see her for a while.
No.
And we don't see near enough of her throughout the film, Karen.
Do you think it's them underneath all the makeup?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Karen. Ready to move on to our cocktail rating.
Sure. You want to get into it already?
Well, should I just give it whatever number I want and you just agree?
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm giving it a 3.
Okay.
Do you want to argue?
No, I mean, it's an okay 3. It's a low 3 or a high 3.
It's not a 5.
No, I was going to say 4 because we've given some pretty good films 3s. I don't think it's as good as those.
Trick or Treat 3s.
True, but
like I mentioned earlier or last episode, but
and so I'll go with you enjoyed it more, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I liked it better than the original.
Which we probably gave a 3.
We probably gave a 3 to the original. Yeah. I don't remember, but probably a 3.
Yeah, I would guess so. But I didn't like it as much. So we'll even it out. It's fine. It's not a bad film.
No, there have been plenty of films that you like better than I do.
No, I agree. I'm not arguing. I would be interested, though, if other women my age watched it and rolled their eyeballs. Although I won't tell you how I'm 100. So,
lots
hard.
of women 100 years old would have rolled their eyeballs at the original.
No, I think this one is worse in that way, but it's,
I don't know.
To me, it felt it.
We agreed to disagree, but we're giving it 3 cocktails.
Yes, we are.
All right. Karen, would you like to hear a review from the time?
Did you find one that agrees with you?
I haven't even read it yet.
Okay.
And it's a long one.
This went straight to video, right?
Straight to DVD and Blu-ray. It was in some film festivals, but apparently they decided not to release it in theater. So it went straight to Blu-ray and DVD. Before I read you this review, Karen, I have to tell you, this has a 35% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Seems high.
A 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
That means
what do you think Google users think?
75% of Google users liked it.
Is that your final answer?
It's my final answer.
81%, Karen.
That's funny.
81 of Google users like this film.
That's Shannon Elizabeth doing a Google review every night.
She ain't got time for that, Karen.
I think she might.
All right. I guess I'm going to read this.
The whole thing?
I don't know. I can't edit as I'm going, can I?
You can skip entire paragraphs.
I'll do my best. The review I have is from Dread Central because I couldn't find this in like a real newspaper or anything. From 9/3/09, September 3rd, 2009, which is before it was released. Actually, it wasn't released till October.
Well, Dread Central,
August. It was released in August in 2009 at a film festival. So
okay,
but it wasn't released on DVD or whatever until October.
But Dread Central is going to give a lot of different review than like Roger Ebert would.
True.
So.
You would think so. All right. This is by a guy named Steve Barton. Remakes. You love them. I love them. We all love them. Oh, wait. Despite the frothing at the mouth hatred for all things remake amongst genre fans, we must admit that there are good, bad, and even the inoffensively mediocre. For example, Rob Zombie's atrocious Halloween, and from what I hear, Halloween 2 as well, versus the likes of The Last House on the Left, nowhere near as sacrilegious as expected. In fact, it improved on the original in a number of ways. Now, Adam Garash is the latest director to join the remake stables with his sophomore effort, Night of the Demons, based on the original 1988 Kevin Tenney flick. We again follow a group of party-going friends facing a night on the chopping block as they attempt to defend themselves against an onslaught of body-possessing demons. Said friends are comprised here of Maddie, Suzanne, the slutty Lily, Jason, and Dex. I don't know why he's
really singling
slutty,
her out.
but yeah, whatever. They are all invited to the infamous Brossard Mansion, changed here from the Hull House of the original, by their friend Angela. But things don't go according to plan as the party is stopped by the police. It seems Angela didn't purchase the necessary permit, so they're being shut down. With everyone else dispatched from the premises, our core group, along with local drug dealer Colin, find themselves left behind with the outside gates locked. Forced to look for another exit, the group discovers a secret room in the basement of the building housing 6 skeletal corpses, the missing people that form part of the legend of the Broussard Mansion. Upon attempting to remove a gold tooth from one of them, Angela gets bitten and soon enough is transformed into a snarling demon. It seems that these entities need to possess 7 bodies before daybreak. If they succeed, they are made permanent flesh and can spread their wicked influence across the world. All it takes to possess an individual is to either kill them or bite them, or swap
have
bodily
sex with
fluids.
them. Yes.
Right from the credit sequence, you can tell that Garash's intention here is a rock and roll horror flick that doesn't take itself in any way seriously, and in some ways he has succeeded. The director himself proclaimed that he wanted to make the movie he would have wanted to see as a teenager. There you go, Karen. Big-breasted women running away from gore-throwing demons. And that, friends, is pretty much what we have here.
Thank you very much.
Almost every character is one-dimensional, but the ample charms of Monica Keene and the deliciously well-endowed Bobby Sue Luther, that's basically Maddie and Lily, to name only 2, go a long way to alleviating any focus on unnecessary elements such as character development. It's an exercise in immaturity, but taken on that level, it works, Karen. It works. The cast are all in on it, flaunting their physical talents as far as possible. And
that's what I said. There's a playfulness to it.
And the script also occasionally pokes fun at how ridiculous it all is. For example, a brief discussion as to why the demons have an aversion to rust. Even the increasingly bug-eyed Edward Furlong, playing Colin, puts in more effort than he has done in his recent career instead of sleepwalking his way to a paycheck yet again. Once the demonic action starts, Night of the Demons rarely slows, with Garash keeping a close eye on pacing. However, the later stages do start to get a little grating as the characters find a safe room and keep yo-yoing back and forth to it. The soundtrack is great, featuring tons of extremely loud punk rock and inspired use of Type O Negative's Black Number 1 during Angela's first big monstrous reveal. Ample gore and slime can be found all over the place, bolstered by some effective jump scares, but the demons themselves get progressively disappointing as the ending approaches. The first couple of transformations are great, including possession via anal sex and a crowd-pleasing face and tit rip. But the final couple of demons look like not much more than rubber Halloween masks with a little bit more articulation than one from a bog standard costume store. When the monsters are the focus of your movie, it isn't a particularly good idea to stop making them noticeably unique and detailed beyond the first few. Fans of the original will be happy to know that Garash does keep the lipstick and the breast gag from the original. In fact, he ramps it up into further levels of sickness. The location and sets look fabulous, making this a strong contender for your Halloween party movie pile. Garash also throws in a few nice directorial touches, such as presenting flashbacks as a sepia-toned silent movie. I agree, that was kind of cool.
Yep.
It's nowhere near the technical magnificence of fellow Halloweener Trick or Treat. No, it is not. Trick or treat, not trick or treat, Karen. Trick
Yes, the
or treat.
difference.
But a noticeable increase in confidence beyond his debut Autopsy. So there you have it. This isn't a smart movie by any means. It's a modern throwback to a simpler era of horror where boobs and blood were the main attraction. It's brash, loud, and sexy, but a few too obvious flaws unfortunately knocked the film down a peg. In the end, it's still a fun ride and certainly worth a watch on an evening when you'd rather disengage the brain and sink a few drinks than deal with anything more cerebral. So he gives it a 3.5 out of 5.
So he agrees with both of us, basically.
Who does? That's Steve. He's
He knows his shit.
Steve Martin. All right. Are we ready to get into it, Karen? Anything else you want to discuss or bring up?
No, I liked his review. I think it was good. You could watch it on Halloween. It's easy to watch.
It is. All right. Night of the Demons, 2009. Rated R, Karen.
For
nudity, violence, frightening scenes, substance use, alcohol use, smoking, foul language, and sexual content.
da, 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 da. I think
All
that's
the
all
good
of them.
stuff. All of them. All the good stuff. Film opens, we have words to read pretty quickly. Broussard Family Mansion, New Orleans, 1925. And I wrote lots of jump scares. A woman hangs herself and is decapitated. It looks like it's silent film footage. We have credits.
So it is filmed in sepia, which I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Oh, please do, Karen.
Sepia is a reddish brown color named after the rich brown pigment derived from the ink sac of the common cuttlefish sepia. Sepia toning is a chemical process used in photography which changes the appearance of black and white prints to brown. The color is often associated with antique photographs. And most people know, most photographic software programs and many digital cameras include a sepia tone filter to mimic the appearance of those types of prints. So it's to give it an old-timey feeling.
Well, why did they use sepia instead of just plain old black and white? What was the point?
Because the color is now associated with antique photographs.
I know, but
This gives it a little zhuzh.
Okay.
I think.
So you're saying they didn't develop sepia tone way back in the 20s
That's a good question. I don't know when it was developed. I think it just,
to make it different than black and white.
I wonder if black and white fades to that brownish color over time. And that's why they
use it now.
Use it now to propagate a feeling of antique tone. But I don't know, to be honest. Somebody else might, but I just know when you see that brown, that's what it is.
Then we have credits, and then it's Halloween 85 years later.
Yes. And we do see New Orleans on Bourbon Street. So in one of the oldest cities in America, which is New Orleans, Bourbon Street is rich with historic venues, social tales, and iconic buildings. The street dates back to 1718 when New Orleans was founded by, and I'm going to butcher these names, Jean-Baptiste Mornay de Bienville. I don't know. But French engineer Adrien de Pogger laid out the streets of New Orleans in 1721 and chose one to carry the name of the French royal family ruling at the time, Rue Bourbon. So a lot of people think it's named after bourbon because people drink there, but it was actually named after the French royal family. It's in the heart of the French Quarter, extends 13 blocks from Canal Street to Esplanade Avenue. It establishes New Orleans right away. Because I said, oh my God, Halloween in New Orleans on Bourbon Street, that must be a disaster.
I didn't even notice. But we do see a poster. Dark Factory and Angela Feld present Late Night. Apparently she's having a big Halloween party. And we see her sending invites. And then
she's making them on the computer and emailing them to her friends.
And we see women preparing for the Halloween party. And I wrote sexual talk. I don't remember what they were saying, but it was sexual talk.
It was about waxing.
And then we see
Dex and Jason.
No, then we see Linnea Quigley, who was in the original. She played Suzanne in the original.
Oh, yeah. She opens the door for the girls.
giving candy to trick-or-treaters, and she bends over just like she did in the original.
Yes, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, she's credited as ballerina because she's
No.
dressed like a ballerina. I don't know. Next thing I have is we get a dude smoking pot, and they watch as an older kid steals the candy of a younger kid. And then they shoot him, I wrote, with tranquilizers. And I'm like, oh, no, it's paintball.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was either until he got close, but he overdoes it a little bit when he gets down there. That would hurt if you were that close.
That was a big thing in the early 2000s, paintball. I remember my son was into it. So then we see the girls heading to a party, the party, I guess. And one of the girls worked with Angela at Taco Bell.
Yes.
We learn. She warns them not to let Angela near any of their guys because she will go after them, Karen.
If she knows they're interested in him.
Then we're in a strip club.
So now we see a guy in a car. He arrives somewhere. He's nervous. He looks familiar. Is he famous?
Oh, yeah, it's Colin.
Yeah, it's Colin. He's going into what looks like maybe a cult store. And I said, no, a tattoo parlor. I'm like, oh, no, it's a strip club. Nope, it's a topless bar strip club. And that's where they always want, whenever they're in them. And I always go, Dad, I'm in a movie. It's his daughter standing there behind the bar topless. But
we see two pairs of bare breasts. So Colin goes and see Nigel. Nigel has
his drug dealer
guard, I guess. And apparently Nigel's a drug dealer. And then I wrote, is there a girl going down on Nigel while they're eating?
Yeah, I think they speak Russian too. But yes, that's what I'm saying. That it's just like, those are the things to me, like, that's just stupid, but whatever.
But Nigel gives Colin drugs and he expects double the money because I guess Colin's been screwing him. I don't know.
Sounds like Colin was skimming and he didn't give him all the money he was supposed to. You've just listened to half of this week's episode. Are you loving it? If so, can you do us a big favor and leave a review wherever you listen? Reviews help us grow the podcast. We just want to say thanks so much for your support. Now let's get back to the good stuff.
So then the girls arrive at the party. And right here I wrote good soundtrack. And we see party goers there. And I wrote there the Saw reference because there's a guy dressed as the Saw character on the tricycle.
But it's like I said, it's hedonistic. That's what we're supposed to get from it. Everybody's kissing everybody. And it's like chaotic. And
as you do, Karen.
The music is loud and it looks like a good party. It's got all the aspects of a good party. It's got an open bar.
So Colin pays his way to get into the party, gives the girl at the door $100.
Everybody else is paying $10 to get in, but she doesn't like him and he pays $100 because he needs to sell his drugs or Nigel's going to come after him.
So then the girls, like I said, arrive at the party and apparently lots of their ex-boyfriends is there as well. And then we have a bunch of girl talk, blah, blah, blah. That's what I wrote. Bunch of girl talk. And I think they're playing the B-52s, I wrote. But I don't think they're on the soundtrack. They're not. But I'm pretty sure it was the B-52s. But anyway. So then Maddie, who we can learn is Maddie, goes to the bathroom.
Yeah, so the girls, when they're getting ready for the party, there's two cats, sexy cats. And then Maddie's supposed to be, I don't know, maybe a zombie survive. I don't know. She's not addressed as sexy. They give her a hard time because she's not sexy, but her shirt's ripped open. Her jeans are ripped open. She's got fishnets on under her jeans. She looks sexy too, but she's not a cat.
Karen, I wrote, I like Maddie's costume, but I don't know what she's supposed to be, but I like it.
She looks almost like a victim of something. Like her clothes are all torn and she has blood on her face and blood on her shirt.
Yes.
But she's just as sexy as the other ones.
Oh, yeah, she is.
But she goes into the bathroom.
And then a hand busts out of the mirror and we have a startle scare. Maddie jogs out leisurely, I wrote. She doesn't really run. She kind of jogs out, and she runs into one of her friends and takes her to show her, and the mirror is fine. She runs into one of the other girls. I don't know.
Yeah, and partly it is an open,
I guess.
Yeah, one of the cats. It's an open bar. She's been drinking, and it's a Halloween party. So she's not sure if it was some sort of setup to scare her. Plus, everybody's drunk. So there is a little bit of that. Did I just see that or didn't I see it throughout the film? Because they're all drinking like crazy. So
then Angela welcomes everyone to her party.
Yeah, there's a big ta-da. All the lights go out and the light shines on her and she starts talking.
And she gives a little history of the Broussard house.
She makes the entrance.
And then she mingles and pours drinks, I wrote.
Well, she wants a whole new chapter of debauchery at the Broussard house to honor Evangeline and her dark soul. So she's really getting into it. And yeah, she starts to mingle. And then we see it's hard because I'm trying to figure out who's who here. But basically, Dex and Lily are exes, but they meet up at the bar and start talking.
And Lily is the good whisker girl.
The first one
Suzanne is the bad whisker girl.
And Shannon Elizabeth, who is Angela, doesn't want Colin there because she knows he's selling drugs. But right. I don't know why she'd care because she wants debauchery. But I don't know. They don't like each other, I guess.
But we see Colin making drug deals.
Yes. And Dex and Lily are going upstairs.
And I wrote girls dancing montage.
Yes.
I don't know.
One of the cats is getting a little crazy. Well, and here's the thing. So the devil's feeding her shots, the guy in the devil costume. And then they're talking about it. And they're like, oh, yeah, I think that devil's just waiting for her to pass out. And then the two are like, ha, 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 that's so funny. And I'm like, that's not funny at all. That's terrible. Like that's the kind of stuff that men write about. Like, that's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
if they were real friends, they wouldn't let that happen. Right?
No, they're just watching it happen. But
all right, but then the police arrive, party's over, and Diana, the girl who worked the door, leaves with all the money.
That was pretty funny because she just shoves it all in the box and walks out with it. And Angela at the beginning is saying to her black cat, if we don't get this money, we're going to be on the street. So the fact that the woman stole it from her is a big deal.
Well, we see the cop writing Angela a ticket. She didn't get the proper permits, whatever. But Colin really wants to find the basement for some reason.
He shoved his drugs down a vent.
Okay, when the cops arrived.
So they fell, yeah.
See, I missed that too. I was wondering why is he looking for the basement to get his whatever.
She crumples up the ticket. She's not going to pay it. But when they were coming in, he pushed his drugs through one of those fancy curly vents, and then he knew it would go down to the basement.
Okay. So then we see others arrive and look for their friend, Suzanne. They find her. Apparently, she passed out.
That's the one the devil was feeding the shots to.
So next we have Colin and Angela in the basement. They find a hidden room, I wrote.
Yeah, and she talks about that there might be a tunnel to go out from Prohibition.
An adjoining property.
Yeah, because for Prohibition. Okay, So here we go with Prohibition was the legal prevention of the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages in the United States from 1920 to 1933. That's a long time, under the terms of the 18th Amendment. So a lot of things were expected to happen during Prohibition that didn't, which is kind of interesting. So Prohibition supporters were initially surprised by what did not come to pass during the dry era. When the law went into effect, they expected sales of clothing and household goods to skyrocket. Real estate developers and landlords expected rents to rise as saloons closed and neighborhoods improved. Chewing gum, grape juice, and soft drink companies all expected growth. Theater producers expected new crowds as Americans looked for new ways to entertain themselves without alcohol. None of it came to pass. Instead, the unintended consequences proved to be a decline in amusement and entertainment industries across the board. Restaurants failed, theater revenues declined, and few other economic benefits that had been predicted came to pass. On the whole, the initial economic effects of Prohibition were largely negative. The closing of breweries, distilleries, and saloons led to the elimination of thousands of jobs, and in turn, thousands more jobs were eliminated for barrel makers, truckers, waiters, and other trades. The unintended economic consequences of prohibition didn't stop there. One of the most profound effects of prohibition was on the government tax revenues. Before prohibition, many states relied heavily on taxes and liquor sales to fund their budgets. In New York, almost 75% of the state's revenue was derived from liquor taxes. With prohibition in effect, that revenue was immediately lost. At the national level, prohibition cost the federal government a total of $11 billion in lost tax revenue, while costing over $300 million to enforce. That was a mistake.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like trickle-down economics, Karen. Oh,
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
Funny how that works.
Or doesn't.
Or does, in that case.
But they didn't think it through. I mean, especially poor New York.
So they find a hidden room, and then they find bodies in there, and Angela is very excited, I wrote.
Yeah, she runs upstairs. There's dead bodies in the basement.
And we hear someone say there's no cell service at the mansion, so we get that.
Because they were saying, yeah, somebody should call the police because there's dead bodies down there, but they don't have cell service.
But they figure they are the people who disappeared from the party way back in 1925 or whatever it was. Colin finds his drug and he leaves, at least the basement. Angela tries to take a gold tooth from one of the skeletons and she is bitten by it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was cool. Colin comes back and says the gate is locked. He asks Angela if she has the keys. She tells him it's upstairs and whatever.
It's in my purse. Just go ahead and take them.
But she looks a little uneasy.
Yeah, she looks woozy.
Then they're all at the gate and they can't get out. So they figure they need to spend the night. Then we get a backstory about what happened way back in 1925. Evangeline Broussard's maid was the only survivor that night.
She wrote spells on the walls, it says.
And she was in love with Mr. Broussard.
The maid was?
Yes.
No, Evangeline was. So Evangeline was in love with Louis Devereaux, but he didn't love her. So she was so desperate, she turned a love spell. She started practicing all kinds of magic and voodoo and witchcraft. And somehow by accident, she got in touch with the evil spirits and they tricked her and they told her to invite Louis and some friends over for a Halloween seance. And then he'd fall in love with her. But they had other plans, Greg.
Yeah, everyone vanished, I wrote.
Yes, something went wrong.
And everyone vanished. Then we cut back to present time, or at least 2008, or whatever it is. And they're all smoking pot, Karen.
Angela's not looking good.
No, she begins trembling. She excuses herself and goes to the bathroom. And I wrote, Angela walks into the world's largest ladies' room.
Yes, it is a very big bathroom.
And she don't look so good. And she seems to imagine her hand changing or something, and then she's fine. She's freaking
she's
out
shaking her head really hard, and then I go, oh, she has contacts. And then she shakes her head again. She doesn't have contacts. And then she shakes her head and she has contacts. And then she's got some really gross kind of fingernails on the end of her hands, and their fingers are really long.
Then Angela rejoins the others, and they're playing Spin the Bottle. And Suzanne and Maddie kiss.
Yes, a lot.
No, well,
like a 19-year-old boy would expect two girls to kiss.
But then two of the guides kiss too.
Yes, like a 19-year-old boy would expect two boys to kiss.
Well, a 19-year-old boy would not expect two boys to kiss at all.
No,
but they do.
They have a big discussion about how they're not going to do it because it's different for girls than it is for boys. It's stupid. But anyway.
So then a guy spins the bottle and it lands on Angela. And Angela
does love that.
Yeah, she straddles him and they kissy face. And is it Dex? It must be Dex because I wrote Lily is not pleased.
And then Lily gets pissed and says, we need to talk, and drags him up to a bedroom.
And they leave.
Because that's how they're going to talk.
He ain't looking so good, though.
Because that's how a 19-year-old thinks you talk.
But then Lily and Dex begin having relations in the bedroom, Karen. And Maddie and Colin.
Because that's how she's going to she says this, she can make him feel better. And she gets on the bed. So even though he feels like crap, he looks like crap. He's woozy. Doesn't know what's happening. The minute she gets on the bed, everything's going to be fine. She's like, this is going to solve everything.
So Maddie and Colin look for another way out, another gate to get out. And then we have a scene with Angela deep throating a bottle. I wrote.
Yeah, in front of Jason, I think. And he seems a little afraid of her.
I would too, Karen. Then we cut to Dex and Lily having relations. And we hear Dex growl.
Yeah, he transforms.
And Lily screams.
Let's just say she's not facing him, so she doesn't see it. And then he does some special things and she transforms also. And there's worms.
Yeah, Lily and Dex turn. And then we have the typo negative song, Black Number One, Karen, as Angela begins dancing
seductively
with Suzanne.
So, with the other cat girl is what I
Suzanne.
said.
Bad whisker girl, Suzanne.
Yes.
They dance together, they kiss.
So is Shannon Elizabeth really tall, or is she just wearing way higher
She's wearing
heels,
high heels
than everyone else? Because she's towering over everyone.
I'm pretty sure
even
she's
the
wearing
men.
really high heels in this.
Okay. But while they're dancing.
She is 5'9", Karen.
Okay, that's not
same
that
as
tall.
me.
So they're dancing, and Suzanne kind of sees Angela's demon face for a second.
She does.
And she says, "Oh, I think I drank too much." And Angela says,
stop.
No, you didn't. Yes. So
Angela doesn't let her stop, and then they begin floating in the air together. And Angela turns into a demon and rips her face off.
And her boob.
And apparently a breast. I don't know.
Yeah. But that was pretty shocking because her face just flops onto the ground, which the face didn't look that great, but it wasn't. But the shock of it was pretty good. Yeah. Like she just rips her face off.
Slynn, Colin, Maddie, and Jason are in the woods trying to find a way out. And I wrote, why is Maddie interested in Colin?
She could do better.
I guess they used to be they were a thing. Yeah, they used to date.
Yeah. That's her ex.
But yeah, she can do much better, Karen. Then Jason goes to the bathroom and finds Lily there, and she's acting weird.
They go back inside after they're looking outside. They can't find any way out.
Lily pulls her top down, and we see two more bare breasts, and then she inserts a lipstick into her nipple, right? Just like in the original. But again, it's like it comes out her crotch, and there's all kinds of blood.
Yes.
Okay. No, she's doing like a magic trick. I don't know.
Well, no, then he comes back and says, "Is Lily into magic?" That was pretty funny. I thought
sleight of hand or whatever.
Maddie's like, "No."
He's a little freaked out. Jason tries to tell them what happened, and then they go to investigate, but she's gone and there's no blood anywhere.
And he's not making a lot of sense.
So they're looking for Lily, and then something crawls across the floor real quick, kind of like a startle scare.
Yeah, I thought it was an animal, but they think it was Suzanne.
So then Maddie is attacked. Jason stabs Suzanne in the stomach with a fireplace poker. I guess Maddie's attacked by Suzanne. And then we see next thing I have is Angela barring the door, locking them in, I guess. So Maddie, Colin, and Jason decide to escape to the basement. And we did learn earlier that there is a passageway to an adjoining property. In the basement, Colin finds a shotgun. And then they find a trapdoor to a tunnel, hopefully leading to the adjacent property next door. They investigate the tunnel, but it's caved in. It's a dead end. But the cave-in looks fresh.
Yes. And so they do. The boys fight a little bit over the gun, but eventually Jason takes it because paintball. So it goes back to him being able to shoot accurately with the paintball gun. So they give him the gun.
So then they are grabbed by vines.
Yes, that's kind of the Evil Dead thing.
But they don't come out anywhere special. You mean it's not like they do they? They're just vines, right?
Well, when you see them go through the tunnel, you do see the roots of the trees and stuff. You can see.
Okay.
I did see that. Interestingly enough, I saw it and I noticed it, and then it came back. So they light it somehow that you definitely see it because I saw it. And then they start attacking, although they get away pretty easily.
Yeah, Jason grabs a saw.
There's a saw right there.
Yeah.
Isn't that convenient?
Yeah, the demon's coming for them, crawling on the ceiling.
That was pretty cool.
And Jason takes a shotgun and takes a couple shots at him. I think
shoots someone right in the head.
I think it's Dex he shoots. That's what I wrote. I think it's Dex.
But that doesn't matter.
No. And Colin fights with him and stabs him with some rebar. because there's rebar down there. I don't know. And Maddie is grabbed by another demon, and Colin fights that one off. So then they run back up the trapdoor and try to seal it, eventually doing so. Another demon comes in and attacks them, and I wrote, "Is that Suzanne?"
But
I don't
the
know.
trapdoor thing is another Evil Dead thing.
It is.
Because remember, what's her name was trying to get out.
Yeah. And she shoots tentacles at them, Karen.
Out of her boobs. Yeah.
And they cut them, and Colin beats her with some more rebar, question mark, I wrote, I guess. They escape. Trapdoor opens. They run upstairs. They put a big piece of furniture against the door.
That's not going to work.
Maddie sees to Jason's wound.
Yeah. So when he went to cut a tentacle, he did slice it, but he did it so hard that it sliced through and went to his leg.
So then Colin begins peeling away the plaster on the room they're in and finds inscriptions and drawings on the walls, Karen.
So when they move the dresser, there's like pieces have already started to fall off, and he starts peeling it.
Maddie discovers that they are safe as long as they stay in that room, because she can read
decipher
those. She can decipher that like crazy.
I mean, and it's just all over the place. Like it's.
Yeah. I wrote, Maddie figures it all out pretty quickly from what is written on the walls. I don't know. Maybe she's a speed reader. Who knows? Then we get into the history of the demons. They tried to take over Satan's role and were banished from hell.
And all they have to do is kiss or bite someone to possess them.
But they need 7 people to turn into demons.
And they can't use a dead body, only a living one. That's why Evangeline killed herself.
Decided to sacrifice herself so they could not have 7. But apparently demons don't like rusted iron either, Karen.
Yeah, which is a weird thing.
They
don't like rust, but all the lore that I know, and I even tried to Google it, which is going to totally ping my search history.
I thought you were saying, let's say conjure demons, but go on.
It's iron that they don't like, not rust.
Well, it's iron. It's rusty iron.
Yeah, but in most supernatural things, they take the poker from the fireplace. That will help you. Anything iron will help,
and they have until dawn.
And then there's an orgy downstairs. A demon orgy.
There's a demon orgy.
Yeah, don't forget that. That's hugely important.
In my notes, it says demon star. Because I'm reciting in the word, and it won't let you use words like orgy.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, so there's a demon orgy.
I swear this was written by teenage boys. Moving on. Full moon.
Maddie goes to the bathroom and washes her hands. Furniture moves from the door. It opens. She tries to wake up Colin and Jason, apparently because they all fell asleep. Angela's at the door, and Maddie confronts her and says, "You can't come in, can you?"
They taunt each other.
And Angela turns, and Angela's going to seduce Colin.
Yeah, she's threatening Colin.
Maddie slams the door on her.
Now, if you had a room like that, a safe room, would you go into the bathroom and wash your hands? I mean, wouldn't you stay in the corner with all the spells around it? Like, why would?
Well, I don't think they realize yet that the bathroom is not protected.
There's nothing written on those walls.
I know, but it comes up later.
I wouldn't move from that corner of a room.
I did think it was kind of odd. She's washing her hands, but whatever.
And
there's another point when they're washing their face or whatever. I'm like, no. So then it appears to be getting light outside. And
immediately
they look at they've been asleep, so they don't know. But they look at their watches and they have an hour to go. But then blood starts pouring from the walls, washing away the spells written on them. And demons begin busting through the walls. There's like 20 hands coming through the walls.
I know, there were way too many hands.
So Maddie and Colin and Jason, they try to dry the blood before it, wipes away the spells or whatever.
And they
try to reproduce the image. They draw the same images over again.
With charcoal, like you'd be able to. That part was ridiculous. There's no way they could have kept up with the blood and known what was there. They wouldn't know what was there. I said, there's too many hands.
Then it becomes daylight, apparently.
Instantly.
And Colin leaves the room to be sure the coast is clear. He doesn't see anything, and then they grab any rusty metal they can find, and they leave.
They're getting cocky.
Maddie believes the gates are probably open now because the demons locked them in. Go to leave the mansion, but Colin feels that something's not quite right as he looks through a window. He breaks the window and it is still dark outside, Karen. And then the clocks begin spinning backwards and they were tricked by the demons.
Damn demons.
Demons arrive, they fight. Jason is disemboweled. He gone.
Yeah, poor Jason. So everybody else gets kissed or is having sex or whatever. Not poor Jason. He's just ripped apart.
He kissed Dex.
But not to become a demon. His transition to demon was a little horrific compared to everyone else's.
That is true. That is true. But in the end, he's just a demon, the same as everyone else. He turns. Colin and Maddie run back to the room.
I like Jason. I was kind of rooting for him.
Maddie scolds Colin for thinking of only himself, and he apologizes.
Yeah, because he's like, either I'm going to get killed by a demon or Nigel's going to shoot my head off. I can't win. She's like, oh my God, we're in a crisis here.
So then Colin goes to the bathroom to wash his face.
Yes.
And he sees a tub full of blood and he stirs it with his rebar. Demon pops out of the tub and attacks.
Why didn't he just leave?
I don't know. Maddie and Colin fight him off. They get back to the room. Then Colin falls through the floorboards, Karen, all the way down to the basement, apparently.
I said he's not going to make it.
He tells Maddie not to come for him, but of course she ignores him. Because I guess she's in love with the drug dealer. She likes bad boys.
Yes.
Maddie finds a rope and ties it because there's a rope right there in the room, of course.
Because of course there is.
Yeah, in case you want to hang yourself. But
yeah.
Finds a rope and ties it to the bed frame and descends through the hole. I wrote, Colin isn't doing so well. Maddie tries to treat his wound.
All I wrote was...
Maddie's quite the nurse. This is the second time.
Yeah, second wound she's treated. But remember the rope burn you'd get from climbing the rope in middle school?
Then Colin turns into a demon.
When she straightens out his leg. So obviously he was bitten by Dex.
Maddie stabs him in the face with some rusty scissors or something and escapes. She makes her way back upstairs to the room. And then we have a montage. Maddie loading a shotgun and creating shells of rusty iron. He's making shells that aren't going to work.
I know.
Either, Karen, but
no,
whatever. She's making them. Maddie leaves the room to face the demons.
Again, I wouldn't do that, but okay.
She shoots Angela, then Dex, then Suzanne, then Jason and Colin. She's shooting them all. Demons come after Maddie. It's almost 6 a.m. Maddie then places a noose around her neck and jumps from the balcony.
Well, wait, before that, the demons are kind of surrounding her. And there's kind of a little, they're like, we are seven, we are evil, we are evil, we are seven, we are evil. Kind of reminding me of one of us, like that taunt that they were doing.
In the Freaks movie?
Yeah, but it looks like she's going to kill herself.
She does. She gone,
and
I wrote.
She jumps, but I'm like, it looks like she's swinging from her shoulders.
Well, how else would she be swinging? But then the sunlight comes in and it burns the demons.
Yes, like Dracula. They all burn up. It looks almost like Star Trek. They beam down to the basement, because they go into all those little particles and then they go to the basement and they reform.
Through the vents. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And they reform as the skeletons in the basement. And then we see Maddie hanging by a noose. But she's not quite dead, Karen. And she's very pleased as she reveals that she had the rope tied around her waist as well as her neck, but really around her waist. Then some dudes arrive to pick up the sound equipment from the party. She lets them in, credits, the end.
Yeah, she's completely fine.
She's very happy. She's very pleased that all of her friends are dead.
It looked a little like
including
Ready or Not.
Colin.
I know, but yeah, she doesn't even care that all, at least in Ready or Not, they were trying to, I don't know. They were trying to kill her and they weren't there anymore, but you'd think you'd have this emotional, oh my God, all my friends were demons. And no, she's fine. Yep. She walks away.
I know. I didn't care for that much. The ending very. She should have been more traumatized than she was. But that's the end.
So you'll be traumatized when I become a demon and try to kill you and you have to kill me and then you leave. You'll be a little traumatized. That's good to know.
Well, of course, Karen. I didn't ask you, Karen, but did you watch this on Amazon Prime?
I did. It was free.
It was free. It's included.
We haven't had one of those in a long time.
I have, but you haven't, because I had a credit.
Rub it in.
Because my wife bought birthday presents
Yes.
for niece
That's nice.
Julia. If you're listening, Julia, happy belated birthday.
Something probably showed up for you.
Oh, it did.
Excellent.
Hi, Karen. What'd you think of our Night of the Demons cocktail? Was it better than the film?
It's okay.
Mine evaporated a long time ago.
It's got a strange, almost aftertaste to it. I think it would be better with rum and peach schnapps and pineapple juice or something. I don't know.
Vodka has no taste, Karen.
I know, but it's just, I don't think that
At least good vodka.
something is a little off. I don't know.
But I'd be fine with rum too. I could do that. I could do coconut rum, actually. Coconut rum,
it's good.
pineapple, and then
I don't know
peach.
why it's called Night of the Demons. Did they like vomit blue stuff and I missed it or something? Or,
Don't know.
it's,
Don't know.
I like the name of it. And it's obvious, it's very drinkable. I think I would like it better if it had a little more ice in it because I think it's better cold and the chilled glass doesn't last long enough for me. I should have put an ice cube in it, but it's good.
All right. Anything we learned today, Karen?
Learned a little bit about sepia, little history of Bourbon Street, and a lot more that you probably didn't even want to know about Prohibition.
And trickle down economics. All right. Are we ready to move on to next film, Karen?
We are.
I believe it is your choice.
It is.
And what film have you chosen for us, Karen?
You have to tell me if I'm pronouncing this correctly.
Like I would know.
Well, it's called The Mephisto Waltz
This sounds right to me.
from 1971.
Any reason you chose this film, Karen?
Well, Jacqueline Bisset is in this film.
She is.
And 2 days after this comes out, which I think is September
11th. It comes out the 11th.
the 11th, her birthday is the 13th.
It is, Karen. Look at you.
I know. I wanted to make you proud.
I read a little about this film, and I'm looking forward to it. That seems right up my alley, Karen.
Yes.
So we'll see. Do we have a cocktail?
We do.
Oh, go on.
It's called The Pianist.
Ooh, how are we going to make that?
Well, this you're not going to be very happy about.
Probably not.
You're going to take 3 raspberries, 2 blackberries, and a couple of blueberries, put them in a shaker.
We're going to muddle?
Yeah, and then we're going to muddle. But it says add 3 bar spoons of black currant. So I don't know if that's a syrup because it sounds like a syrup.
Currant?
Black currant because it says 3 bar spoons.
Okay.
You're going to pour in half an ounce of lemon juice. It says 3.35 ounces of simple syrup and 1 ounce of cherry juice. And then you add 1.5 ounces of gin. Fill a shaker with ice, shake, and strain into a cocktail glass. It's basically gin and
juice.
Yes. Gin and juice.
Okay.
So if you don't have all of the fruit, I don't think that's going to make a big difference. I think there's going to be simple syrup and lemon juice and cherry juice and gin. And the rest of it as you muddle to get a little more juice in your juice.
Make it healthy.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
Lots of vitamin C.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that'll be fun, I guess. I do like to muddle.
Who doesn't?
All right, Karen, anyone you need to thank this week?
Well, I'd like to thank our listener because, Greg, there are a lot of podcasts out there. So we really are grateful when they spend time with us. What about you? Who do you need to thank?
Well, Karen, I'm going to thank our specific listener, Todd Brown, for emailing us and saying, hey, good podcast.
Woot, woot. Todd just made our day.
Our listener. And he's not our only listener because I have to thank the people of I need to thank the people of the Keystone State, Karen.
Is that Colorado?
Is that your final answer, Karen? Pennsylvania, Karen.
Oh, Pennsylvania.
The Keystone State, Pennsylvania.
Should have known that.
They came through in a big way this week.
Nice.
So, thank you, Pennsylvanians. And of course, the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please, everyone, drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.